We're going to call the meeting to order. Could everybody turn their cell phones off?
Yeah, you can bring it. Let's see.
Yeah.
Get myself.
Record the members present.
Wilson,
Here.
Simmons,
Here.
Babcock,
Yes. Here.
Reed,
Here.
Morris.
Here. The following items may be approved in their entirety by the board upon motion made, seconded, and passed by a majority. Any member may request a separate vote on any or all items contained in the consent agenda. If there's no questions, I will make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Wilson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. Item 4 then is information reports, the superintendent's report.
Well, the legislative session is in full swing. We're done with committees on House and Senate sides. Now bills are reaching the floor of the prospective bodies to be voted, discussed, and cussed, and moved on or not, and changed, and get ready to go to the next one. They're very, very busy, and I don't know if you can keep up with them all. But it's kind of amazing to watch what they're trying to do right now. Probably the biggest concern for schools right now would be funding of education and funding for teacher raises, which there's no bill been sent yet, but we keep waiting for one to see what they're going to say next. Tomorrow I'll be at the Capitol, Superintendent's Day at the Capitol, so I'll be up there meeting with our legislators and advocating for public education and freedom of schools. Finance, we're right on track where we thought we'd be at this point. Revenues, right, I mean, coming in exactly what we expected. Haven't seen an increase like we were kind of hoping, but it's not under collecting either. So we're right on track. Expenses are staying right where we thought they'd be. So they're keep moving along, nothing, anything new in that world. Grants, though, we have received OERB grant, $600 and almost $700. We're going to be using that to purchase a weather station for the district, so we can collect weather data. It will be available to anybody online that wants to see the Freedom weather according to that station. So any of our farmers or ranchers, they want more detailed information, they'll be able to pull it from our station, from online.
Our school's website or a separate one?
Depending on which version we get, one or both, depending on which version of the weather station we get. But we're looking to link into what's called the Weather Underground, not the 60s Weather Underground, but it's a web page called the Weather Underground. So that would be available real time, 24 hours a day, through an app that's free. So, our science teacher, middle school teacher, Miss Woodard, or no, Miss Matthews, went to a falls training, formative assessment and learning and leading in science training, where she received $135 in classroom books and supplies, and then she was accepted into the Oklahoma biology teachers class this summer, where she'll receive $2,000 worth of manipulatives and things to use in her classroom for science. So small grants type things are starting to happen, and those two both congratulate Ms. Woodard for getting after them and making those happen. Matthews, I'll get her last name correct one of these days. That she's worked hard to apply for those and get accepted, and doing the work that it takes so our kids can get something out of it. The bus that clobbered a deer, no one's told me if the deer tastes any good or not. I don't think we picked it up, but we are in the process of repairing the deer. Repairing the bus. The deer is long gone, but insurance has come through, and we finally settled on what needs to be repaired, and Mr. Davies waiting on parts as we speak. So the bus is disassembled, and we're just waiting on the parts to come back. So that's what I have.
It's my turn. Okay, we have a lot of stuff going on. Track is getting ready to start. It'll start March 23rd, so those kids will be busy again. And golf starts March 26th on their first go around. OYE's in Oklahoma City have been there all last week and will be there again this week. There have been 8 different students showing. So far, 4 of those have received awards. Some of them have received 2 and 3 apiece. Anywhere from 4th place to 12th place in their show animal, depending upon what it is, whether it's the pigs or heifers. So they're doing pretty good up there. Some of them will be coming home tonight, and then there's several that'll be staying for the rest of the week. We also have state testing coming up. It begins April 3rd with the ACT being the first one, and then from there we'll continue through till the end of the month. That calendar will be getting put out by the end of the week. It'll be on the website as well, so that you guys can, not just you guys, but the community can see when those test dates are. We do have at least one person that's volunteering to help with testing. Other than that, right now it's just us here, so that's going to be a big help. Pre-enrollment, oh nope, almost missed something. The WIDA testing. I don't know if you guys know a lot about that. That is the test for our ELL students to see where they are on the English language learning levels. That's starting this week, and it has to be done by March 30th. We have 2 kids that have to be tested and 1 that needs to be screened. So that'll be done by the end of this month. Pre-enrollment. That's already began, starting with Northwestern Technology Center, trying to get our kids ready for the ones that are wanting to go there for next year. That will continue, and we will have a pre-enrollment night later this year. Haven't decided on a date yet, but we will do that so that we're planned ahead of time and not waiting till the last minute to get those kids pre-enrolled. We'll still do enrollment at the first of the year to make sure everything's where it needs to be and parents know what's going on. But we want to make sure across the board everybody knows where they're going to be next year, and there's nothing slapping us in the face at the first of the year. So, Alabaster Caverns Day is March 29th, 2008. That would 18, not 2008. That will be a day that our upper level kids will go out and hide Easter eggs out at the Alabaster Caverns, and then our elementary kids will go out and hunt Easter eggs that day. Scholarships and college acceptance letters have already started coming in. I so far have 2 kids that are going to continue at the Career Tech, 6 kids that have already put in applications for Northwestern. All but one of those, I believe, so far has been accepted. And I have 1 student that has been accepted to OSU IT. Getting FAFSAs filled out, lots of scholarships. Already have some scholarships that have come in. Some of those are through AG. And we have 4 students that will be participating in a Jump Start program this summer with Northwestern. And it'll help them get extra math and English credits for free based on income and need for extra help with academics. So that's going to be a huge help for some of those kids. And that's it.
Item 5 is general. A is discussion and possible action to approve an advocacy day, excuse me.
We're allowed by law to establish an advocacy day where I can allow a teacher to, as we would prefer, what works best for our situation, to allow teachers to go up and advocate without having any loss of time or anything of that nature. This would allow us to allow our teachers to advocate for freedom and our school and education.
I'll make a motion we approve.
Item A. I'll second it.
Wilson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. B is a presentation of Safe and Healthy School Committee meeting report.
We have a frequent, not frequent, Health and Safety School Committee has to meet regularly throughout the year. We did have a meeting back on March the 2nd. We basically went through a document that I had from an insurance company to kind of go through the district and look at safety concerns that could affect our students, and things that we could remedy around the district. Just a step-by-step to look and make you think of things that you don't normally think about. So we went over that document and came up with quite a long list for Mr. Davey to begin to work on little things here and there. We're going to meet again to go over that self-inspection again and see where we are on fixing those, and then discuss emergency operating procedures in preparations to update our district's emergency plan to bring it up current with local emergency personnel and what other resources that would be available to us, and modify things. It's just kind of a normal thing that you kind of go through. We will be looking at, one part of it is the Healthy Committee. Some of the grants I'm looking at writing right now have student health components in them. So as we get more detail on those grants, we'll know what we need to look at as a district through that committee for our health of our students, and things we need to implement or change. So that was the Health and Safety School Committee.
Item C is discussion and possible action to approve updated 2017-18 school calendar.
Standard thing, we were out for snow, had to modify calendar, so just first board meeting since then to update the calendar date.
I'll make a motion we approve the updated calendar. Second.
Wilson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. Item D is discussion and possible action to join Oklahoma Public School Resource Center.
This is a group that provides a lot of professional development and a lot of resources to education to schools. Specifically, we've been looking at them, Miss Sheila and I, or more so I, because they offer a discounted rate. By joining them, you can get a discounted rate through a very good testing tool for our students that we think by switching over to it, we can get rid of some of the stuff we're already doing and limit the amount of testing, but yet get more valid data, if you want to call it that, for our students. In addition to that, the $1,500 membership fee, it comes with all the professional development basically that we could want. Whatever we make a plan for, we say we want, teachers need this, our staff wants this, and this is the professional development we want, and they send people to us. So it looks like a very good use of, for $1,500 we're going to get way more out of that. Plus we think next year we won't be purchasing some of the things we did this year.
How much money do you think we'll save?
I think it'd be a wash when it's all said and done. Because I spent very little this year in professional development. We wanted to do more, but I just didn't spend the money on it, especially not knowing our staff. I think it'd be a wash with the testing. Ms. Sheila could go a little bit more into that, because that was the final green light I needed to bring it up.
Who are we testing?
Our students, all pre-K through 12. The main thing I like about this test is...
Well, you keep talking about staff, and then you go to testing. And
Sorry.
We're testing the
Sorry.
staff?
Can I
Just
add?
you.
What he's talking about with this company is they have professional development that they will do and come for us free of charge for our staff. And then it also has some testing tools that come with it that's for our students. So the testing part of it's going to be really, really huge, but I like the professional development just as much with what they offer. It has a lot of good professional development.
And we wouldn't be paying them for this year at all. They've waived anything for this year. The $1,500 is for membership of next year, but we would get included for the rest of this year.
So they just help for the test that we're already taking, or they create new testing?
Can you explain that?
Yes, I can. Something that's happened over the last few years that hasn't probably happened here as much is what's called common formative assessments. And so every quarter, kids are taking these common assessments with a lot of other people in the state. We haven't had anybody to compare that to, but with this company, we'll be able to compare where our kids are with a lot of other kids to see where they stand each quarter, instead of waiting until state testing time and finding out, we're way behind or we're way ahead. So it's kind of that, a benchmark every so often to give us the information we need to help them where they need the skills the most.
So with this test that you want us to buy into, we'll be eliminating more testing or other testing next year?
It
Not state
eliminates,
testing.
not state testing. No, we would be adding the benchmarking that we're not currently doing. But it would eliminate, we're benchmarking.
We are, we
just-
do it with Dibbles and Ticket to Read is what you use, correct? We have a program right now, Ticket to Read, and we use Soft 7, and we use all these other different programs right now, but it's like from 3 different companies that we're using, and those have benchmarks within them, but this is all from one company and through one source, so they're not like hunting and pecking all over the place.
So we're adding more testing to the kids?
Not really.
No.
You say so we're gonna drop these
We're
others.
replacing the others with this one. Does that make sense?
That makes more sense.
So they don't
Yeah.
have a different math program than they do for English than they do for, they can sign on to one program and everything's there.
That's the easier way for you guys to benchmark.
Yes.
Yes. And gather data, and that's a huge, huge part, because it tells you specifically where kids are. When you think about reading, it's not just can they read or can they not read. There's comprehension, there's fluency, there's, I don't know, word recognition. I'm trying to think of all of them, but that's the ones that are coming through my head. So you have to know, because this kid may be lacking in comprehension, where this one may just be fluency.
I'm-
So,
I'll make the motion.
And
Second.
when you talk about professional, does that actually test the teachers too?
it doesn't test them, but it helps them better prepare. For instance, if I have a teacher, well, not just one, but if I have several teachers that need help with classroom management, we can bring them in to do professional development with classroom management and give them some new ideas and tools that they may not have had before. It could be on teaching strategies and how I use that. So, like we brought in people this year and they taught them Google Classroom, but they just taught the basics no more than they were here. So these people could come in and get them to delve into that even more. So a lot of different things.
Wilson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. Item E is discussion and possible action to approve contract information technology services.
Sadly, after a very long time, Mr. Weber, Brian Weber of Weber Solutions has gave notice that he's moving on to his web-based business more, so we're needing some IT services. So I put out some bids, walked through many hours with some people to see our network, and I've been handling a lot of it, but it's getting to the point where it's really above my ability. Had 3 companies that were willing to come and give us a bid. There's one out of Kansas called K12, Bank Central out of Alva, and a company out of Alva called SPI. Not a fan of the K12 mainly because it's a multi-year contract where they come in and switch all of our network out to their equipment, and then we get to basically lease it for 5 years, which I questioned them about their contract because Oklahoma law won't allow that. And they said they'd have to get back to me, but here's their prices. They were still more expensive than everybody else, and then we didn't own the equipment after the 5 years, so that didn't make very much sense to me. Bank Central came in, and this is an estimate because their bid is much more, we control that cost up front. There is, with any company, you're going to have an upfront cost. We need a different device to simplify it. We need a device for basically internal to external gap change over, so that you can communicate, so someone from the outside can communicate inside. That device needs to change. What we have is very, very old, and we're having problems with it now. it was already on the list to look at changing. So by switching companies, it's gonna change anyway. That cost right up front is right at $1,200 plus the install, which they think is gonna be about 10 hours to learn our system. But that's the upfront cost with them. And then from there on, we contract with them for bulk hours. We were paying $120 an hour for Mr. Weber. Bank Central has negotiated a very, very nice rate with us at $65 an hour. So much less expensive than before. SPI came in, very good presentation, very good, knowledgeable. I think they could do a very good job as well. But they're in the same similar framework as the K-12. They said they'd be willing to work with us, but they want to come in and change our switches, change a bunch of equipment that we really don't need to switch yet, or to change out yet. That will be on the list. But it's, again, one of those, we put it in, you lease it, and then we negotiate you to buy it after so many years. Kind of a contract. But both companies that I thought were capable of doing the job. I just think my recommendation will be Bank Central, just because I think we can control the costs a little better, and I think it will be less expensive in the long run.
When's Mr. Weber? Is it official?
His last month was in December.
Pardon?
His last month was in December.
So we haven't had one for,
I've been doing it
you have?
as best I can.
Well, good for you.
So,
I make the motion, Bank Central supply our technology services.
This was like you.
That's who you recommended? right?
correct.
Second?
Wilson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes,
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. Item 6 is finance. A is discussion and possible action to approve 2018-19 board resolution for schools and libraries universal science E-rate. The resolution authorizes the funding for 2018-19 payments of the applicant's share upon approval of funding and receipt of service.
Housekeeping item, so we can get our E-rate and USAC services.
Make a motion to approve item 8.
second,
Wilson.
Yes.
Simmons,
yes,
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. B is discussion and possible action to approve fine arts fundraiser.
Hey, fundraisers, these didn't make it in the packet at the beginning of the year. Hold a bake sale and spaghetti dinner or dessert dinner after the talent show. Coming, I forgot the date. End of April, 1st of May.
1st of May, I think, first part
First
of
of May.
May, like the second week, I think.
Fine arts.
Speech, drama, and music.
I make a motion we approve it.
Yeah, I'll second that.
Wilson,
Yes.
Simmons,
yes,
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. Item number 7 is personnel. Item A is discussion and possible action to adopt a teacher support resolution. The resolution states, whereas the Freedom Board of Education supports public schools and the work our teachers do educating the children of freedom, whereas the Board of Education understands that Oklahoma's public school teachers have not received a meaningful pay increase in over a decade, resulting in an extreme statewide teacher shortage, whereas the Oklahoma legislature is the governing body that dictates funding to public school districts, whereas the Freedom Board of Education supports public school teachers in their efforts to improve public school funding, be it therefore resolved that the Freedom Board of Education hereby encourages the Oklahoma legislature to find a dedicated source of revenue to fund a stable and meaningful salary increase to Oklahoma's public school teachers.
I move we approve it.
I'll second.
Wilson,
Yes.
Simmons,
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes. Item B is a proposed executive session to discuss the employment of those listed on Appendix B in accordance with the provision of Oklahoma Statute 25, Section 307B1. I'll make the motion to go into executive session at 7:21.
Second.
Wilson,
Yes.
Yes.
Babcock,
Yes.
Reed,
Yes.
Morris.
Yes.